Gentlemen, what is going on today? My name is Ryan Mickler, and I am the host and the founder of this podcast and the Order of Man movement. I want to welcome you here, and if you've been around for any amount of time, I want to welcome you back. I've got a very important message for you today. I feel like all of my messages are important, so I don't know that I even need to say that. I guess I'll let you be the judge of whether or not it is. But before I do, let me get into a little bit about what this movement is all about for those of you who are joining us for the very first time. And I realize there's a lot of you. We continue to grow, and I look at the download numbers and how many people are tuned in and how many people are following along on the socials, and we're experiencing some phenomenal growth. So I really appreciate you guys sharing. Continue to share. Leave the ratings and reviews. It goes a long way in promoting what it is we're doing. A little bit about what this podcast and movement is all about. Guys, it's my mission to give you everything that you need to reclaim and restore masculinity. We live in a degenerate world. The conditions that we are experiencing and will continue to experience are deteriorating. Families are falling apart. We see violence. We see criminality. People are dissatisfied. We're seeing suicide and depression rates that are continually increasing. There's a lot of things to be hopeful about, but there's a lot of things to be concerned about. And I want to address some of those concerns. And I think the best way to take that approach is through strong, bold, capable men as leaders of their families and their businesses and their communities. And that's what we're doing here on the podcast. And that's part of what we do here through the Friday Field Notes, which is me just riffing some ideas that I've been thinking about. And as I was thinking about what I wanted to talk with you about today, I was reminded of an experience. This was probably a year or two ago when we lived in Utah, where our house was. I would come home from work, my financial planning practice, and I would drive home this specific way. And I drove by the community center of our city every day on the way home. And about once or twice a week, as I would drive by, I would look over to the field by the community center, and I would see these young boys, and they were getting dressed up in like medieval knight stuff, like warriors. You know, they had their big foam swords, and some of them had helmets, and they had their full dress and garb and everything else. And one day I pulled over and watched them for a minute because I was wondering what they were doing. And I talked to somebody there, and they said it's called LARPing. LARPing, which I had never heard before. I'm like, LARPing? What in the world is that? Well, come to find out, LARPing stands for live action role play. So what these boys were doing is they were role playing as medieval warriors. And again, they were dressed up in their battle gear, and they had these big foam swords. And, you know, that's fine. I have no problem with that. I'm not even, initially I made fun of it because it's kind of funny, but whatever. If that's what they're doing and they're having fun and they're not causing any trouble, and they're connecting with other boys, that's a good thing. But it's not a good thing if we take it to the extreme. And the extreme I'm talking about is that there are many grown men who are quote unquote LARPing their way through life. They're living a role play as opposed to living their own life. They're pretending they're other people. They're pretending that they're better than they are. They're doing the fake it till you make it type thing. They aren't playing for real. In fact, they think this is some sort of a game. And it's very immature. It's not immature of these young men who are out there doing that. It's immature when you have a grown man who has a family and has a business and has responsibilities and obligations, not to take it seriously and instead to LARP his way through life, to role play his way through life. Now, how do I know this is the case? Because I talk with men every single day who are struggling with inadequacies or feelings of inadequacy. You know, they're not capable, they're not strong, they're not bold, they're not assertive, they feel cowardly, they feel weak, they feel timid and passive, and they're not accomplishing what they want out of life. They're living for other people's approval. They're being good little boys, doing what they're quote unquote supposed to do. And all of this is being directed by somebody else. And it's no wonder that many of these men don't have a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment in their lives. They're not living a truly deep and meaningful and significant life. They're living very surface. They're pretending, but they aren't acting like genuine, real men do. Now, I'm hesitant to use the word real men because, what does that mean? I understand that it can be subjective. I understand that it's open to interpretation, but I also know that there's some universal truths about what it means to be a man. And now how we fill these obligations and these responsibilities and these roles that we have traditionally and historically played, there's I don't want to say leniency, but there's many ways that those things can be taken care of and fulfilled. But ultimately, it's our job to be protectors, providers, and presiders. Now, you can do that in a lot of different ways. But at our core level, that is how we're built. That is how we're designed. That is how we're hardwired to protect, to provide, and to preside, which is synonymous with leadership. And yet most of these men are running around, LARPing their way through life and not experiencing the results that they want. And you're doing this if you're not satisfied, if you're not happy, if you feel henpecked, or you feel like you're always getting passed over for the promotion, or you're not being taken seriously, just like I saw those boys on that in that field by the community center. Men, if you want to be taken seriously, then you have to consider that this isn't a game. This isn't something where you have to wait for permission to assert yourself as the patriarch, the leader of your family, or as a successful employee, or the next team leader, or the next business owner, or the next man to step up in political aspirations within his community, his city, or even the country. You don't have to wait for that stuff. That's what little boys do. That's what cowards do. They wait for people to give them permission. In fact, my sons do that. They'll come to me and they'll ask for permission for sometimes things they don't need to ask for permission for. Maybe I've conditioned some of that, but at the same time, they haven't taken fully responsibility for their own lives. And any man who's, again, quote unquote, LARPing his way through life is somebody who hasn't taken responsibility for his own life, that you only have one shot at this. We were asked a question the other day on the Ask Me Anything, and if you listen to the Ask Me Anything on Wednesday, you probably heard it, is, what are you, on your deathbed, what are you going to look back on your life and want it to be about? And my co-host Kip Sorensen said, no regrets. No regrets. And if you look and hear stories from people who are on their deathbeds, they have regrets. That's what they're thinking about. I should have done this. I should have done that. Guys, I don't want you to have any regrets, not one regret. I want you to live a life of meaning and satisfaction and purpose. And I want you to get rid of the trivial BS that has consumed so many men and distracted them from the real issue, from the real problems, from the real challenges, from the real mission and purpose that they have to be a protector, a provider, and a presider. Now, something else I thought about as I was watching these boys LARP is they were all dressed up as warriors. And it's funny because I see a lot of grown men who have a desire to be warriors. And I'm not talking about warrior in the literal sense. I'm talking about the mindset of a warrior. Excuse me. Strong, bold, capable, assertive, mission-driven, capable of leadership, capable of administering righteous violence if needs be, but having intensity and having the strength to follow through and the conviction to be able to do it. A man of character, a man of integrity, a man of virtue. That's the warrior mindset. And so many of us want to be warriors. I just want to be a warrior so bad. And that's what you tell yourself. You listen to this podcast, you listen to YouTube videos, and you get all hopped up and hyped up. You listen to Goggins and Jocko and all the other inspirational people that you do, and you feel hopped up for a second. And then when you get out of your car, you walk into the house and you let your children or your wife rule the roost. Or you let your boss treat you like shit and abuse you, not physically, hopefully, but abuse you, take advantage of you, because you're incapable of that warrior mindset. And so what do you do like these young men who were LARPing on the field that day? You pretend. You pretend. You lie to yourself. You say that you're doing better than you really are. You tell yourself you're tougher than you are. And all the while, deep down inside that you're not doing the things that you know you should be doing. So how do you overcome this? How do you overcome this? How do you begin to step into the warrior mindset that you actually are built to step into and not pretend like many of you have for so long? Number one, you've got to understand that it's going to be the mission that drives you. Now, some of you say, how do I find my passion? Guys, I did a whole episode, it was either a week ago or 2 weeks ago, about uncovering or developing or articulating your passion and your mission. But here's what I would say for now. Get passionate where you are. Whatever you're doing, be the best at it. If you're a janitor at a high school and you're sweeping floors, then those floors ought to be freaking meticulous. Not a speck of dirt to be found. The way you organize your closet of tools better be neat and orderly and systematic so that you can be the most effective and the most efficient that you could possibly be. If you're called to lead a team, then you better pour everything that you possibly can. Even if you're not overly excited about it, you better pour everything that you possibly can into being the best team leader that organization has ever known. Invest in yourself. Learn how to communicate. Learn how to cast vision. Experiment. Learn to delegate. Do all the things that you already know good leaders are doing. Don't wait. Don't wait until the perfect set of circumstances arises for you to step up to the plate. Step up to the plate right now. Leadership isn't a title, guys. Now, it might give some sort of perceived authority, and so people recognize you as the quote-unquote team leader or boss or fill in the blank. But leadership is significantly more than the title you may have been granted. And you don't need a title to act like a man. You need to actually start acting like a man. And what's interesting and ironic about this is as you become passionate and masterful and excited and deeply involved in your current work, whether it's at home, in the career path, charitable organizations that you belong to, as you get excited and passionate and masterful at this craft, doors will start opening for you. Doors will start opening for you. It's like the key to unlock the door is you being passionate with what you have. You have to prove to God, or you might look at it as the universe or karma, or I don't know, however you look at it. I choose to look at it as God. You have to prove that you're capable of handling the next thing to come along. And if you're just role playing and you're pretending and you're faking it and you're just passively waiting for something to happen, you're not proving to anybody or anything that you're capable of handling more. Prove it. You want to have more money? Prove that you can handle the money you currently have. You want to have a deeper, more significant relationship with your wife? Prove that you can actually handle that. Second thing, go get physical, guys. Go get physical. I'm not talking about starting fights. I'm talking about working out, training, exercise, running, physicality. Use your hands, use your back. We have these sedentary lifestyles, and in many ways, it's good. It's nice. I'm sitting in a climate controlled room right now with all the lighting and all the technology and everything else, and I'm sitting in here behind a desk on this computer using technology to communicate to you. I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm just saying if all I ever do is just kind of hunch myself over a desk and do the work on a little digital keyboard like I am right now, or behind a camera, of course I'm not going to feel like a man. I'm going to feel like I'm faking it. I'm going to feel inadequate. And in many ways I am. But you know where I feel the best? When I'm not faking it. When I'm exercising my body and my muscles, and air is coursing through my lungs and the blood is flowing and pumping, and I'm competing, or I'm grinding against weights, or I'm training martial arts with another man who's doing the same thing, and we're pushing on each other and exerting our own will on other objects or other people where it's appropriate. I don't think I need to throw that disclaimer in there. But go get physical. I can assure you that if you learn to become physical and you learn to exert your will over other people and other objects, again, when it's appropriate, I'm not saying to go punch a wall or punch a human being just because you want to take out some aggression, But where it's appropriate, then I can guarantee you that when you get back into the office or whatever life has to offer you, you're going to feel more manly. And you're actually not only going to feel more manly, you're going to be more manly. You're no longer role playing. You're stepping into the warrior mindset. And you're going to feel good about that. And you're going to develop confidence. And then it's going to become this snowball, because the more confidence you earn, the more that you're willing to exert yourself, the more that you're willing to put yourself out there, the more that you're going to stop pretending and actually step into the life that has been waiting for you to prove yourself worthy of earning. So get that warrior mindset going. Get physical. And the third point that I'd offer you is get around other men. You know, as I watch these boys LARP on that field, I initially made fun of it, but then I thought, you know, these are other boys. They're playing with other boys. They're learning, they're growing, they're laughing, they're being physical. Like, in many ways, they're doing a lot of good things. So I'm just using this as an analogy. But even in my own life, when I went at this alone, guys, I struggled. Men aren't made to do this on our own. We're social creatures. And for hundreds of thousands of years, we've been organizing in tribes and packs and gangs to improve ourselves, to solidify our positions, quite literally, if we're talking about defending ourselves and our families and loved ones, and to advance our own cause and our own mission. Now, some of you will say, yeah, well, you know, I just don't have anybody near me. That's not true. That's not true. So how do you find the men who are interested in what I'm talking with you about right now? Go to the gym. Go train martial arts. Go to the firing range. Join a hiking club. Like, go where these guys are and insert yourself into the environment, insert yourself into the conversations, and you're going to find other men, however you want to look at it, a band, a pack, a tribe, a gang, whatever term you want to use there. You're going to find these men who are going to hold you to task. That's what I want. It's not always comfortable, but comfort is like a LARPing activity. I want discomfort for the right reasons, by the way. I want to be uncomfortable because that means I'm learning and I'm growing and I'm pushing and I'm getting better and I feel good about that, even if I don't achieve the levels of success that I want to have. Guys, I don't want you to fake it through life. I hate that phrase, in fact, fake it till you make it. I understand the sentiment. I get it. Because not any one of us are exactly where we want to be. So do you fake it? No, I don't think you fake it. I think you ask good questions from the right people. You find a band of brothers. You hire mentors and coaches. You get physical. And you begin to do what men do. So if we have young men who are listening to this and I get a lot of emails like this, oh, you know, Ryan, I don't feel like a man. I didn't have a father figure in my life. What do I do? You find that man who can be that individual. Or if you're an older gentleman and you know you've never been around other men and you're surrounded by women, you're maybe you didn't have a father figure in your life. The answer is still the same. Go be physical, adopt and embrace the warrior mindset, and find a tribe or a gang that's going to help you become the man that you have the capability of becoming. We can't play the game anymore, guys. And that's what a lot of you are doing. You're playing a game. And in many ways, you're playing the game not to lose. I just hope I'm not the last. Come on, guys. We want to be the first. We want to be the best. Not out of some sense of ego or pride, but so that we can serve other people. We can serve ourselves, certainly, and our wives, our children, our neighbors, our colleagues, our coworkers, our communities, our country. We need to be the best. And that's going to take you stepping out of this boy-like behavior of pretending and faking your way through life and actually doing the work required. That's what this podcast is about. We've been doing this now for 6 years. When I started it 6 years ago, my goal was to help men bridge the gap between what they know and what they do. So now you know. If you didn't already know, and you might already know, now you know. So what I'd like you to do this weekend is to turn the podcast off, to turn the TV off, to not drink the alcohol, to not sedate yourself with the pornography, to stop LARPing your way through life and actually get in the game, to do the work. Figure out what it is and then get to work. And let me know on the socials how it's going. What did you do? What did you learn? How did you improve? Where'd you find your band of brothers? What martial arts are you training? How much are you lifting? All these things. What's the warrior mindset to you? How did you embrace that? How did you adopt it? What exactly happened in your life that allowed you to become more of the warrior that you're meant to be? All right, guys, get after it and report back. We'll be back on Tuesday of next week. I've got a couple very, very powerful interviews coming up, so stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe, leave a rating and review. And until then, go out there, take action, and become the man you are meant to be.